chance.
rare
Like
enemies
only
you
like a
slay to
third.
crush them
I
to a
can't
pulp.
believe 2/3 of my money was in
Replace your
MTX.
crafting
Because
bench in
I
your hideout with
don't
the
buy
Ancestral
MTX
Canoe
really.
crafting bench, where Ancestral Chief Marta will
Yeah,
summon
I'm
a
just
giant
talking over
canoe
the supporter
manned by
pack because I
Karui warriors
I don't
to
actually
aid in your
care.
crafting desires.
We must all start somewhere.
We'll probably buy a
You'll also get a
supporter pack
pair
this
of weapon
time.
skins. Equip Akoya's
Once I
Felling
check the
Axe
beta
skin
out,
to your
dude,
one
he's the
handed or
Hulk.
two-handed axes, or Tukohama's Crusher to your one-handed or two-handed maces.
I
A true Karui warlord is always
I'm
accompanied by
fine
the
with them
trusty
doing like
Kiwi, equipped
weird
with armor and
MTX.
harnessing
You know,
ancestral magic.
you
They
gotta
make the perfect sidekick.
you gotta
Once
think
one of the
outside
most
the
feared
box
beings in
once you
Wraeclast, Malachi was slain by a powerful exile. May the statue commemorate the
once
virtue of
you've
exile's
made
past,
so many
present, and of
designs.
the
But
future.
I still remember when the Harlequin
Of course, it's not all
sets
about
came
dressing up
out,
in
and that was
game.
definitely
You'll
like
want to look good in real life too. By becoming a
the
warlord
end
of the Karui
of like
supporter,
the
you'll also get a
MTX
Path of Exile
era to
2
me.
hoodie.
Is this PoE 2?
Our final
There's
tier
no
of
way,
support. Of course,
right?
it's not all about dressing up in game. You'll want to look
No,
good in real life
it has
too.
to be PoE
By
1.
becoming a warlord of
I
the
was
Karui
saying,
supporter,
holy
you'll also
shit,
get a
they're going
Path
so
of Exile 2
fast.
hoodie.
But
Our
it's
final
PoE 1.
tier of supporter pack in this series is the Liberator of Wraeclast supporter pack.
Ooh.
The Liberator of Wraeclast armor
I don't know
set
if I
and
like
back
it.
attachment come made with the finest materials in Wraeclast, and shattered glass mosaics suspended in divine power. Set up your base
I'm
of
not the
operations
target
in the
audience
Beacon
for
of
this.
Salvation hideout.
I
Why restrict
hate
yourself to just one island when you can
extra
liberate
effects.
more? The Beacon of Salvation hideout comes equipped with your own collection of small islands and personal operators of boats that you can use to row between them. Just walk to the piers, click a boat to enter, and navigate as you choose.
Here's another thing. This is
Decorate
very
each
cool.
island as you see fit to
It's
best
like
represent your well-earned hideout.
it's a neat for a hideout,
Everyone
but
in your hideout can use
again,
their own boat. Why not have some
I'm
braces?
a coastal hideout main.
You can also get the Window to Twilight portal effect, a beautiful mosaic piece of art that shatters and reveals a gateway to your desired destination as you approach it. As you walk away, the glass magically reforms back to its original form.
What was the destination? Just
Rule in style with the Throne of the Ruler map device. Sure, this map device can create portals to
Holy.
endgame maps, but it also comes with a throne you can sit on to oversee your growing kingdom. Look down on the plebeians running your maps.
Herald, dude. It
Being
kind
a
of pisses
liberator,
me
though,
off
is not
that
just about sitting on your throne all
most
day.
of my
If you do
MTX
decide to join
purchases
the
are
fight yourself,
heralds,
you can
and
leave a high
like,
priest in charge as your second
when
in
was the
command.
last time anybody played like a herald build
Liberator of
that was
Wraeclast
good?
supporters will also get a set of varied weapons.
Who's Herald of Ice?
The
which
Light
is
of
the,
Divinity Scepter skin,
The
the Deliverance
OG.
Crossbow skin, the Justice Flail skin, and the Redemption Shield skin. Once again, you'll have an accompanying Kiwi, and of course a statue
But even
depicting
then,
one of the
I
most
use, like, the
iconic
more
events in
subdued
Wraeclast's
ones.
history. The battle between a powerful exile and Kitava, the Insatiable. With the help of two deities, Sin and Innocence, the exile was able to defeat him once and for all. This
I wish
supporter
they'd
pack
give us
also
a
contains the
full,
Path of Exile 2 art book.
like,
This
standing up
215-page full-color
statue
art
of
book includes a
Kitava.
huge amount of amazing concept art and lore produced during the long and exciting journey of Path of Exile 2's development. And finally, Path of Exile has a tradition of letting the community participate in designing game features.
My
For
nose is
Path of
getting
Exile 2 will
stuffy.
be adding the Twilight
Can't
Order Foil
breathe.
Reliquary. By becoming a Liberator of Wraeclast supporter, once Path of Exile 2 is released, you will be able to select any unique item you have found and be able to drop it from the Reliquary.
That you
Once
found?
players have submitted their items, keys to the Reliquary will start dropping.
Is
and
that
other
a-
players will be able to find foil versions of uniques that you have submitted, along with a message for the lucky player.
Is that
The
a
more
thing?
players submit the same
Is that
unique,
how it
the
works
more chances
currently?
there will
You
be
have
for
to
the Reliquary to
find
drop
a
them.
unique
So
to be
choose
able
wisely.
to submit?
Now, almost all of these items are available to use in PoE 1 right now. There are a few exceptions where the item class clearly doesn't exist, such as crossbows or flails. And there are also a few microtransactions on weapon types that are unavailable in PoE 2 at the start of early access. Once classes that use those weapon types are added,
I'm having to
those
like resist
microtransactions will be
logging into
available to
PoE
use.
1. And this is part
If
of
you
the
can't
problem, I
decide
guess.
which
Is
supporter pack
like,
to choose yet, you can always start with the early access supporter
I've
pack
been
that
holding
just
out
includes a key
on
and some points to spend in the store.
the
Then you can
PoE 2
upgrade to any
new
of the following
stuff
tiers at a later date.
and
These
playing
supporter packs
PoE
will be
1 because I want to be
available for purchase
fresh.
throughout
You
early
know,
access.
I only got like so
We'd
much
really like to thank you
game
for your ongoing
juice I can
support. Without you
spend.
guys, Path of Exile 2 could not have happened.
So I've been on like
Now, I'm
PoE
sure you
1
guys have a lot of
cooldown for like
questions. Stick
6
around,
months.
because coming up next, we have a live Q&A with Ziggy D.
So I'm like ready to go, but this is a little premature. We still got like 2 weeks before the beta. I want to play now. Ugh, don't I want to watch the QA? Anybody seen this? Is it like good info? They usually ask some kind of like stupid questions, but there's always like really significant shit hidden in there.
The post-show discussion and Q&A. I hope you all
Audio
enjoyed what
delay.
you've seen so far. It's been pretty exciting for us here as well, as you guys have been
Watch it for a bit. Maybe
inspired
we'll,
already just watching things.
Cover some cool shit.
Yeah,
Oh
and you're
my
already cooking
god.
a new
Is this
ascendancy class.
all Q&A? There's no way.
We've got to do
Oh
design
my
whenever you
God.
can.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's been a few fun moments here already. But I'm your host, Ziggy D, and I'm joined by Jonathan and Mark to talk about everything you've seen. Honestly, it's so much.
I mean, we
Yeah,
were
me
really
too.
keen to make sure
Do
that
I,
when we went
join
into early
the
access
scene?
that people didn't feel like it was just, limping along and kind of, just like a minimal amount of content. We
looking
really wanted to kind
white.
of blow people away. So hopefully people feel like, there is enough content.
Dude, this light's too
It
bright.
was certainly a mission to get all that stuff in.
Down?
Yeah, I did
go down
come
a little
here
bit.
expecting that there would be, maybe a basic mapping placeholder end game and your 3 acts and, the
Up
half
here.
the classes. But you've made a decision here clearly that's got to go the core PoE player community in mind.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we have to make sure, look, Path of Exile's endgame is kind of known for the fact that you get to choose between different types of content and that, some people enjoy
they're
one
actually
thing,
gonna
some
talk
people
about
enjoy another,
endgame?
and I feel like
You
that
like
choice
that?
is, a huge part of what makes it good. So if we didn't have that when we entered endgame, then I don't think that would be, that wouldn't be a Path of Exile endgame. So that's
100%,
kind of
100%.
what we have to make sure of. So we kind of said, okay, well, what is the minimum number of
check
different
this out
in-game
for a
things
bit.
you need to be
We'll
able to have
comment.
in order to be able to actually have a viable in-game that you feel like you get different choices.
I
And that's how we ended up with what we have here.
I
kinda
definitely feel like
don't
a lot
like
of games nowadays release,
that there's
and their
no
campaigns intact real good. You get to the end
distinct,
game and it just falls real flat.
like
Yeah.
PoE 2
And
mechanic.
It was certainly a very
Well, that's
important
not
moment for
fair
us
to
when
say,
we were like,
because
hold on, that's the wrong thing to do.
several
like,
of
let's
them
not
are
make
like
the same mistake as everyone else.
significantly
Let's pivot.
reworked,
And
right?
we
Like
actually
the
did that,
Sanctum and the
like,
Ultimatum.
It made
Like
a
they're
world of difference.
they're
And made
different
the game
enough,
all of a sudden,
right?
100 times bigger with
But
an infinite amount more content, right?
It was definitely
it's just
hard, though,
weird to me
because,
that there's nothing that's
it's
like
we're progressing. It's like we
purely
would have made it. We
PoE
would have
2,
gotten,
and I mean,
all these.
I guess
acts
they're saving
in
that
if
for,
we
like,
hadn't
the
changed
league
directions. Like, to
mechanics,
actually say,
right?
you know what, we're going to
lad,
specifically not finish this
like,
content that we're
blow your
working
load
on.
early,
that
I
we
guess.
that we
I mean, yeah,
it's
they're the new
pins down
bosses,
everyone.
and, like, the
We're stopping work
Alice
on
is
this.
the
We're going to
PoE
move over to
2
end game because it's actually
thing,
more important. Like that was certainly a hard one.
That would have been some
But-
whiplash there, I imagine.
For sure.
I think I
Well,
expected.
I mean, it's like suddenly the whole,
more
environment art
different
team. It's like,
things.
they're all just like, whatever you're working on, just scrap. You don't want to scrap, but like, just stop it. we're doing something else now. So
This
same
is a
goes,
stupid take.
Especially for
I'm
a lot
not
of
saying
the
it's like
developers,
bad
'cause you
that they
gotta
did
also
that.
think, like, a lot of our developers have just been working
It's
on
just
this campaign
surprising
for,
to me.
what is it now, 6 years? Like,
I think it's even longer, actually.
Yeah, it's like just this epic journey. Whereas none of them, a lot of these people haven't been working on Path of Exile 1
wonder
this
when
whole
the
time.
game
Where-
comes
so
out. I bet it
some of
doesn't
us
come
are
out
like,
until
We're just
26.
churning out in-game with every league and doing all of that. But for a lot of these people, a lot of these developers, it was
Like-
quite jarring to swap over. But everyone embraced it. We
I think
talked
they still
about
got
it.
a
Everyone was
ton to
happy
go.
about it and stoked about it, and it just ended up coming out real awesome. So
I think it's landed well, and it definitely kind of blew me away when you. So even before I saw anything, we were in the car on the drive
Yeah.
here, and you were just info dumping all of the end game. You're like, oh, we got this feature, we got this feature. I'm getting dopamine just from
Do you
hearing
think
about it.
Ziggy's
I
their
haven't seen anything
favorite
yet.
PoE
But
person?
do you guys feel like you're
Or is it
competing
just 'cause
against
he's
yourselves
a
a little bit here?
local-
Because Path of Exile's kind of set the bar. The original game has set the bar for what is available to endgame in a game like this, and it makes it's not acceptable really to launch with just nothing in terms of endgame now.
Absolutely. I mean, I mean, like if you're not competing with yourself, then I don't
Ceasing
think you're going to
to-
make good
I
progress,
don't
right?
know.
So that's what you really have to
I
do.
don't think so.
Yeah, but cracking that out for beta even.
Yep,
is,
absolutely.
pretty
Well, as I
exciting.
said, I just think it would not have landed nearly as well without that, and I think
like-
it's important that our existing Path of Exile 1 community feels like they're also
Phone
served.
into
Like,
anybody,
yeah, sure,
right?
we're
You don't
doing
have to
all
be
this
in
stuff for new players,
person.
and that's really important.
It's
and that will
just
expand the
they
audience.
obviously like
But,
Ziggy
if
more
we
than
launched and
other
all the PoE1
options,
players were
right?
happy,
And yeah,
that would be
I think
good.
that's part of it. Is
So,
like
we have to make sure
he's-
that they also feel like they've got a game for
he's not
both
going to
them
press
and
them
for
real
all the
hard,
players we hope
right?
to
He's
put
not
out
going to
both
like.
of them.
And you
Even the
definitely
tough
want all those
questions
different
or
axes as
something.
well. Like just having two, right? You'll get a lot of content can be immediately divisive, right? Obviously, that's the nature of it. That's how it goes, right? And so you have all of these different avenues because there are different players who like different types of content.
Yeah.
So if you're just like, here's your one end game system, well,
like that
immediately
one.
then there is a portion of players who are just like, I don't want this, right? And so having all of these options is like ultra key, and that is what Path of Exile 1 has taught us.
So
And again, it's like
it
I'd say
definitely
lessons
seems
learned,
like
for the genre, and it is expanding in other games and stuff. But Yeah,
You have
certainly
to
as you said,
pick
competing with
one of the
ourselves. Yes,
four
PoE1 has like
major
40
content
axes,
types,
and we've got
right? Like,
seven really good ones
is that
here.
it? Do I get
and
it?
obviously more to come. But
Like, you
seven
can't
is
just
a lot, mind
map
you.
and kill monsters.
Especially when it's all like like people
You
have to
know,
learn
you
a lot of
gotta
things
like
again.
if you're mapping, you have to like
It's going to be very interesting
pursue
to see how long
one
it
of
takes
the
people to do
content
the kind of
types.
difficulty 4 pinnacle content.
Yeah.
What I
It's
didn't
like we have,
notice
it's honestly like we actually don't even really know because like
was
you never
whether
know
you
what
could
people are
have
gonna find in terms of builds and so on.
multiple
like,
of
I'm
those
hoping
four
that it'll take
content
people a
types
while
in a given
to
map.
be able to work it out, but you never
Like,
know.
can you have
maybe end
a
of day one,
breach
people
and
just
a
like,
ritual?
easy,
in
no
the same
problem,
map?
mate.
I didn't see that,
Could be
or
what it's
maybe I
like.
didn't pay
There are a few
attention.
people that are doing that sort of thing. I saw like a solo self found level 100 in 24 hours or something.
Jeez, okay, we got this is where we've got it now, is it?
So but I imagine there'll be a little bit of a soft reset there for people.
Yeah, for sure.
A
There's stuff to
relearning
learn.
period.
There's stuff
you
to
know?
learn.
And I mean, PoE 2 has changed a lot over the years, so more than 5 years of development now. And what was that initial pitch when PoE 2 was first put forwards, like as to what it's going to be? Because it was much smaller in scope originally.
Yeah, so when we started, it wasn't even a sequel. It was just we're just updating the character rigs, and over time, it kind of feature creeped into a proper sequel. But the thing that we were saying is, whenever we were talking about it, and I guess this is the main
I
thing.
think PoE 2 is a
is that
really good
we're
thing.
like, okay,
I'm
when
glad
we make an area
they
here, it needs to be that
expanded
there's
it
like a theme
this
for it. It
point.
feels unique from everything else. We're not going to just like
I
have
think it's really
recycled
important
stuff,
for the
like,
success
within
of the
campaign
game.
that just feels like, oh, we just took
Long
this area
term.
and modified it slightly. Each one's got to have its own stuff. It's got to have
I
monsters that are like
hope
carefully thought about.
that they
like,
do
fit
kill
in with the
PoE
world,
1
and it's got to have
eventually.
bosses that are actually like
And
good.
I don't
tier
mean
quality,
like
and
kill,
every
like
area's
shut
gonna
down
have
the
one.
servers. I mean kill,
and,
like
so those decisions
stop
have kind of been things
supporting
that have
it
meant that
in like a non-superficial
like,
capacity.
they really raised the quality bar to a level that
You
took
know
us
how
way
like
longer than we even
D3
really
they still like
expected.
come out with
the
seasons and shit,
those
but they're
things
kind of
there,
like
just, like, they-
rehashes of old seasons.
It's huge,
you know,
right?
they,
Like, honestly, I feel like we underestimated
there were, like, some
significantly what it would
pretty
take to deliver
small tweaks,
that level
like,
of quality.
I remember
a
really early
single
on,
dev could do it,
a
but
battle I fought
it's a
for, and I mean,
reset,
like,
it's a
way
reason to
back,
play,
was,
and
like,
that's good enough. You
if
just
you
keep
think
the
back to, say,
lights on,
Diablo
and that's
2,
about
which
it.
obviously still holds a lot of power in terms
Said
of
the D word.
design motivations and philosophy and stuff within the company. You get things like the super uniques, and PoE1 did them, and it's just like, here's a boss with 1 or 2 skills. And I remember very, very, very early on in PoE2, I'm like, I want every single boss to be memorable and a thing. I don't want a unique monster that's just like dies in 2 seconds and uses heavy strike and has a fancy name. And I remember, I even got some push.
Poor Caliph.
I remember getting some pushback at the time and thinking like, I love the bosses, my favorite part of everything, and so I was just like, man, I
right.
don't want this. This is just terrible.
What a
And but,
play.
of course,
Odie,
that
I see
decision,
you
me pushing
all
for
the
that, me
time
wanting that, turned
in
into
Twitch
this
streams I
megalithic,
watch.
What have you done?
Now we have 50.
I like
aiming to
never
be
say
100,
anything
honestly,
either.
Probably
It
later,
makes me wonder how much
more
you see
100 once
me.
all the end games, everything start to evolve and more expansions comes out. And I'm like, yep, we maybe just made,
Don't talk
100
much
times
in
more
the
work for
streams, though.
ourselves, but 100% bloody worthwhile, because I'd say those bosses are one of the main, attraction pieces of the game. And anyone who plays it is just like, holy crap, those boss fights are amazing.
It's just,
So,
I like just talk shit in
obviously
people's
some
streams
bad and some
sometimes,
good,
and I'll
different people and
see
all
you
that. That's
talking
how it
shit,
all goes. That's
like
part of
making
all the fun,
jokes. I'm
but,
just like,
it is
yo,
true
my
that me
man.
pushing for that thing literally created thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of work. Now, worthwhile work, but it is again that exact thing of like the scope was kind of small on numerous axes, and as we just raised the quality bar to
there
what
aren't
we
too many
thought was
PoE
good,
streamers I like
it certainly went from
watch a lot
what was
currently.
it initially, just reskinning some character classes and new
I,
rigs or whatever, into this like mega scale
Breath of the
entire
level, yeah.
campaign, everything. But
Full
I don't
standalone,
know.
separate.
There's like a
fun other anecdote
A
since we went out of
weird
that territory. It was
PoE stream
originally
culture
codenamed Project Chimera.
that thing's like growing.
I don't.
It kind of like turns me off of a lot of
was just
streams that I used to watch.
I've never been a fan of these codename things
It
like
was,
that.
it was this like there were times way back in the original Office. There was all this like. Sometimes there'll be a feature you can't really do in PoE1, and it was always like, we'll do it in Project Chimera. That was like amongst the developers, and people were like, what the heck is that? Now, ironically, there is a boss in Act 3 called, well, it's got a different name, but it's called the Chimera internally. It is a Chimera. It's a multi-headed beast, and you've seen it in a few of the marketing, things here and here, different trailers, little snippets of it. And I think it's just ironic that was actually the first boss asset made. before everything, the first monster, because back in when we used to just make random monsters and we'll find out how to use them. And that was made for that game. It was used
Like,
in the
this is
original
interesting,
PoE2
and I'm
trailer.
like honestly
right?
like kind of keen
It
to
is
listen to it.
only
but
incomplete technically, but only from a balance standpoint. Or was the last boss
I don't
to
really
finish
care to
in
hear
the
it
entire
right
Path
now.
of Exile.
I want to hear like endgame shit,
Yeah.
like
It sounds like
what
it was like some
they're
sort of
doing with the
emotional theme that you had to
systems.
battle there, of like the legacy of the original idea.
I also don't want to
and
scan
the finish
through.
it.
We had a moment with the monster game designers where we're like, oh my god, it's happening. The Chimera is finally being finished. Holy, this is like, yeah, we were effectively like, we need to celebrate this
Is anybody
boss
playing the
finally being
current
done.
Pee
It was
Wee
like
League?
at the origin, and now it's at
I thought it
this,
kinda
you
looked
know, point
fun,
where we're about to
but
deploy early access. You know, not to
Like I
say
said
the end, 'cause
earlier,
there is-
I
the
don't
end
want
is
to play Pee Wee
forever
right
away.
now and like
Yeah, it's still the beginning
limit
of the journey.
my
Yep.
But on that note of
ability to
celebrating,
enjoy
like,
Pee Wee
how
2
do you
when it
guys
comes
feel
out.
having now kind of for the
Just
first time, I
waiting.
feel really like laid bare, kind of everything you have, you're putting it out there, and only being 2 weeks away
Maybe
from everyone
maybe I
playing.
should have made a
Well, it's
character
always scary.
that could just like
you know,
log
coming into a
in
release,
and do
I think,
the
especially for,
divine
there's, like,
hours when they showed
a bunch
up, and I
of people on
could
the PoE2 team
play
who
like a
have
1 hour a
like,
week,
they have, this is their
make
first
like
game that they're gonna be
infinity
releasing.
divines.
And that experience is something that you know, like
You
yeah,
guys
like
play
it's
Affliction?
tough. And honestly, I think that even
What was
we
your
were feeling
biggest
a little bit
divine
cocky
stack
actually
in
about the fact
Affliction?
because you know we release you know
I think I got it written
content for
down
PoE1 all the
somewhere.
time, and I feel like we kind of felt like we knew what it took to get a game released, but honestly, like PoE2 was just a whole entirely different demon. As
The
far as
most
getting things
divines
out,
I
right?
got
Like, it's just
in one
way
map
more
in
difficult. Like,
Affliction.
when you actually have to make
No, I
everything,
didn't record it.
like the whole freaking thing right from the ground up again. It's like
Okay,
wow.
the most
there's
where I
way more
wrote
stuff
it
there.
down
Like,
was
there's even things like the
182
passive tree where it's like
divines.
I feel like we
in one
underestimated what it would take to get something like that
Affliction
to an
was-
actual releasable state. Like
Affliction
that
was
a
like-
huge amount of work.
I don't
just, like,
think there will
absolutely
ever
colossal
be a
to get it
league
to,
more
to,
fun
you know,
than
to get that kind of
Affliction.
stuff in shape. Like it's just been crazy. So yeah, like it obviously it's
Yeah,
nerve wracking, you know, coming up to
I think I
a release day.
13
I
mirrors
think we
in
do
total,
have something
with
that players are going to
2
really enjoy. And,
doubles
you know, like it's always
as
comforting when,
drops,
you know,
and
when
then
we
I,
had a
like,
live
traded
event
for
in,
way more.
LA recently, you know, people.
I got
you know,
more
we got to the
mirrors
time
than
limit and everyone's
locks.
like, oh man, we don't want to stop. You know, so,
And, like,
I'm really, I think
Watching
people. Are gonna really enjoy it.
people, it sounded
It's
like
been a whole different experience for me
lock
here
to
playing this
mirror
time
rate was
around
like
as well. Whereas before I was playing a
1 to
very
4,
buggy
or
kind
4 to
of
1.
internal version of the game that was very experimental.
And
Now playing
I got less locks than
almost what
mirrors,
I'm
which
gonna
I
be
thought was
Well, I heard
just
you still
totally
managed to blow
weird.
the count up the elevator with some kind of knockback bug.
wasn't gonna mention that,
Yeah, we
but-
have to. we have
That
to
was a
do
great league.
that one.
It was a king
I did send the Act
among
1 boss up an
leagues.
elevator with knockback.
I
It was,
get that,
it was
like,
good.
Intended mechanic.
You
I thought it was
can't
pretty
do
funny.
a league
He
like
was- He
that
was in his like big wolf form and kind of trapped in there, so just barking
too
at me
often
through the,
or at
through the
all,
wood.
maybe. But man, that
I'm sure
was
there's a few
yeah,
the good
things to work
shit.
out of this next 2 weeks. I hope the team can have a little bit of a rest for a day before they get back into it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot. So you've done that pivot
Ooh,
to
text
the
me.
endgame focus and got so much for us now to play around with in the beta. And it seems like originally I was thinking, you know, we might be playing for a few weeks here and then, you know, maybe going back over to some Path of Exile 1 stuff. But it seems like you guys want us playing through Christmas.
That would certainly be good. I mean, look, there's enough stuff there. I think it will take people a long time to get through.
Yep.
And I mean, obviously, it's also going to be the first time people are playing through a completely fresh campaign
How,
as well. I think that
how
will take
long's the
people a
beta
fair
going to be
amount of
up?
time. So yeah, there's and then of course the endgame
Like,
as well,
until
which
the
is why-
game
yeah, it
launches?
should be pretty significant.
I wonder if they'll do beta leagues.
I mean, we've always wanted it to be that Path of Exile 2 leagues, you know, are going to be, you know, like how PoE1 leagues are, where you play them and you play them for like, you know, a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
And then, you know, sure, you get done with them
PoE1
eventually,
have
then you've got
beta
next content
leagues?
that
I don't
comes out.
remember
yeah,
when
in order to be able
the
to realize that, you have to have enough of a
1.0
base
was.
to make that happen.
Yeah, people are definitely wondering like how invested they can get.
Numerous
in the beta, so
resets.
I definitely want to ask a few questions kind of
Sure.
around that idea. So,
mean-
firstly, is there going to be wipes and resets, and will
Here
there be
we
something
go.
before launch as well?
So we are going to be having new like leagues effectively throughout the beta whenever we launch something significant, because you know we want to make sure that all of the effectively that people are able to play through. But that stuff will be merged into an early access league, and effectively after we go into full release, that league will stick around. Now I can't promise that everything about your character will function exactly like
Surely
how
not.
it did in that thing.
I imagine it'll be a glorious kind of snapshot of all of the here's all the broken
here's all
stuff
the broken
I have.
stuff.
Yeah.
But effectively, we can contain all that stuff in the sort of early access league, and then if you still want to play those characters, you know, like then you can go right ahead and do that. But you know, the action is always going to be in whatever the most recent league is, and then of course after that point, there'll be a standard that everything goes into, which you know, all our economic sins will forevermore be archived in the in standard. So yeah, that's no doubt what will happen.
Well, it's nice that it's not going to be affecting what will be the
I
standard.
wasn't paying
like,
attention too much
Also, that
to
people will be able to kind of get invested in their characters.
Yeah,
Because,
absolutely.
I mean, there's even something kind of cool
Are the
about
early
idea of
access
making
characters
something
going to
that
carry
will be
over
like that
into
little
stand? I mean, I guess that's how
historical
PvE
piece,
works.
little collectible.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there'll be some handful of legacy things that only
Interesting.
exist in early access leagues. So I guess we'll have to see what comes with the unique balance.
You talked about like the playing for a week or how long are we expecting?
Yeah.
Well, we also got to remember, and a lot of the PoE1 players were thinking very differently to people who are obviously going to experience this as a new game. But
Race
it is a new
leagues?
game, right? You don't have all these predefined, hyper-refined builds to play to immediately, go through things. You don't have people coming in with
I don't know if I like
fully
race leagues.
detailed 7 million
I wish they'd bring
build
back alt
guides of
arts
exactly what to do with what items.
in
The
some
discovery is
capacity.
going to be there. The discovery takes time, and the discovery is like honestly ultra fun for me. I love it.
It's cringe to me that
Now those things will emerge after time. Of course they do.
just can't
completely
get
fine.
alt arts
But you should
anymore.
remember, like, there's a lot of game to play here to discover, to learn. learn
I
about
wish
the
they came out of
world,
like
the new narratives,
reliquaries
the
or
new
something.
world-building, the
Like
new
if the uniques that came out of
unique
reliquaries were
items,
alt
the
arts, that'd be so
ascendancy
fucking
classes,
cool.
the massive passive tree, which is bigger than PoE1's, the endgame systems, the bosses, it's not going to be this I personally, when a PoE1 league comes out, for example, I play for like a month, sometimes a bit longer,
Hundreds
sometimes
of
a bit
years.
less. It ultimately also depends largely what's going on here and how much I need to invest here. So, and there are other
Dude,
people who play
what's
for more like
crazy
3 and
to
whatnot,
me
but
is that people
there's certainly going to be a much
sold their
longer
alt
time
arts
period you can play
after
this
they
for while still
announced
discovering
the
new stuff and
MTX
not feel like
thing.
you're finished. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, of course, you see that subjective.
Like, can you
Everyone can pick their own
imagine
point when they finish, but if you
selling
want to see
your alt
everything and
arts,
do everything, you're going to be
like,
investing a
as
lot
soon
more
as they
time,
announced
especially these
the
first-time
MTX
rounds, and
conversion?
then obviously with every league, there's more to
Because
discover.
every
but
single
you
alt
get
art
faster
is
at
like
doing all these parts
5
over and
times
over
more
again, you'll
valuable
get more
now,
efficient over
and
time.
like they
That's
will
how the
only
game works.
continue to
So,
appreciate
yeah,
value. I
I'd
just
expect a lot of
don't
time to be
understand
sunk into this to fully explore it to start with,
why
like a lot.
you would ever have sold on the front
Not a
side
week,
of that
not
announcement.
2 weeks. You're going to be going far, far longer than that if you want to see everything.
Yeah, I can't bring myself to trade mine, and I
up
like
to you.
barely have
Play at
any.
your own
The
pace,
only one
see
I
how
have
you
that's
wanna
like
go, learn
good
at
is
your own pace.
Stormcloud.
That's the beauty of a new game as well, which we haven't been
I
able
didn't
to
do many of
experience
the
with
races.
Path of
I
Exile
just
1,
didn't fucking care.
or
They were
other
lame.
games
They
for
sucked.
so long is
And
actually
but
discovering the
I've got like
entire
decade
world and there's some
delayed
familiar
FOMO
mechanics
now
at
where
the
it's
endgame
like,
and stuff
I
like
mean,
that, which is awesome for people, but
it was
I certainly
trivially easy
really,
to get
I'm
all of
very
the alt
excited
arts in a
to
given
see
season,
people
as long as you
discovering
like
the new
did the
things and getting
races.
so excited
Like,
about it.
there's
I
no
can tell
like
you're amped
challenge
for watching people
to getting
go through
the
that
alt
discovery
arts
process.
at all.
Maybe even
Like
diving
It was
into
just
some
whether you
100%.
did them or not. But they sucked.
I love
It's so
sitting there and
lame that
puffing
like there are these rewards
as
that
many of us do, but I am
stuck
very excited for
around
that.
from a time
yeah,
when
I
like
was gonna
almost
say
nobody
discovery
played the
process for a
game.
while.
I think you were saying how
don't know,
much
bring
you
them
were, you
back.
were part
It would be the
spreadsheet.
coolest
I think
thing to bring
I
them
think I was
back.
saying I'm like maybe 60% spreadsheet, 40% discovery, and that's my play archetype. So
Coming up with our player profiles, Timmy spikes, and things like
I
that.
can't believe that one guy sold the
Path
fucking
of Exile characters. Yeah.
the discovery
Headhunter
part of me
to
is ultra
sell
excited,
Fub Gun
and I'll mind you,
for, like,
that's coming from someone who kind of knows all the content.
free,
I'm
basically.
still, because there's something
Like,
different
why-
about
why
making
would you
it
do
versus
that?
actually playing it live with the players, seeing them discover it, uniques being linked in chat and on Reddit and all
Yeah.
of that is just so cool. So we're gonna get a massive dose of that, and it is like genuinely exciting to just see how people are going to think, what's worth 1 chaos or what's worth 10 chaos, what's worth if chaos is even the metric.
Is chaos even the currency that people settle on?
We were arguing about this earlier.
I'm pretty sure that 1 C spam in chat might turn into 1 E because 1 exalt. Given that exalt is
Oh my
now.
God,
I think it'll be
borrowed
chaos.
too.
People probably-
The ad removal still.
I mean,
People
that's
don't
something
appreciate, by
you
the way,
can-
like, so when we say we've increased something, you're going to be getting multiple exalts in Act 1 in
You could have-
PoE2. Like, we actually have
You could
increased
have
that
bought
a
it
lot. It isn't just
and
like an
then
idle,
gone and
like-
I could
sold
see
it
exalts
for
becoming the
double
new kind of like
the
chaos.
price.
And then
I actually think
chaos
that will
being
be
the new
it.
device.
I actually agree.
For someone.
But we'll
Scam a
we'll
viewer
see.
if you
Like,
want.
that's my point.
But it's a new
Because-
economy, right? Like, who
knows?
even
and
knows?
then
The
have
market
gone
will
and
have
bought
to-
another.
I like
It's
that we're
like
already arguing about
Yeah,
this. It's good fun. So, do
Why
you
would
have
you
some kind of like
loan
beta
somebody
release
60
roadmap
mirrors?
for updates and things
I
like that
just-
for people to look forward to? With that?
I mean,
Dude,
we
his
certainly
viewers
did
are
have
so
one 6 months ago.
dumb.
with-
I mean, that's true of
Now that
anybody.
we-
Like,
but now that we're,
all of the
now that
PoE
we're
viewers,
sort of
not you
getting
guys,
to
though. You
release,
guys are
it's like, oh
cool.
my god, like,
But
so
there's so
I mean, look,
many dumb
I don't think it'll be any less than 6
people
months.
who watch
I think
PoE
it
streams.
could
It's
easily end up
just-
being more. I
it's
certainly don't
wild.
want to. Look, 2025, I think really
watch any stream. I'm gonna extrapolate. It goes for there are a lot of dumb people in the world, but
that would be pretty
man,
crazy. But I mean, honestly,
if you
we
were
have to get all the content
like
finished. And
a
all that sort of
bad
stuff.
intentioned
We
streamer,
always
it
feel like
is
we underestimate
crazy
things.
how hard you
And
can
of course,
like
we have to learn what
exploit
we need to learn.
the
We have to
viewer
get the game to
base.
the point when it is really fun. We have to make sure that like all of the things, like we've got the difficulty right for all the players, we've got the economy right, like all the stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're gonna have to sort out. And so I kind of have a feeling that the first few weeks at least are gonna just be scramble of like.
So in Affliction,
oh crap! Someone like
one of
this
like
crazy thing out, and we found this thing.
my
my
best
that's always scary.
sources of passive income
when
is
we add
that
content to PoE1, it's like at
if
least the
you
kind of basic stuff that we
know
have is kind of
the
well-tested,
account
people know kind of what's
names
going on with it.
of
But here it's like just
the
completely
craft bots,
We're the kind of game that has
you can
a
like,
lot of ability.
and
for
I know a
players
lot
to
of
do stuff
them
that we
is
wouldn't
you can like
anticipate.
track
You
the
know, we have,
listings by character name or by
just
account
support
name
team
for
work
like
and
the
everything
people who
like that.
just
So I
craft bot all day,
There's certainly a lot of
and they're
worry
not
that,
there.
Like, there's just going to be
They most of them are
like,
cluster
completely
jewel
ridiculous that we just
spammers,
never anticipated
and they
combining
just
certain things in different
spam
ways.
cluster
You know,
jewels until
hundreds of support
they
teams
hit
that can be like
the
that.
regal.
So, that's going to be an interesting one.
It will
and
happen.
it
Yeah, for sure.
It is
varies from
inevitable,
league to
right?
league
There's
what like the
nothing
meta
we can
jewel
even
is,
do
but
about it, because
most of the time it's bows
You'd need
because
hundreds
of
thousands
Fubgun.
of hours of testing to be able to do that
And
with what can only be done
they
with
like
hundreds of thousands
don't
of players.
most of the time they aren't
But
sophisticated
that's
enough
also the
to
magic
like
of it all, which is awesome.
know
That's why I was asking you, like, are you
Like,
literally
what-
really doing 12 classes in 36
what
sentences?
separates, like,
actually?
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
an
absolutely.
infinitely
We have-
valuable
we have-
cluster
we know
jewel
what we want to do.
from
It's a bit
just like an
changed.
okay cluster jewel,
But,
you know? So
we like a
they
challenge.
will throw things up in dump tabs
the
that like
studio that produces a passive skill tree
still
like we
provide
do,
like a huge
clearly,
margin
has a
over
bit
their
of a
crafting
punishment,
cost, which is just
like
them
mixing it.
AFK
totally
in like
could
a
have fixed them and then,
script
like,
that
oh, no,
just
added more
spams
later and
alts and
expansions.
augs and regals all day.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could have. I mean, look,
And
this is the plan. This is the plan.
You can just
you know,
watch
I mean,
these
like,
people
as you go through, as people go through early
and
access,
like
it's going to feel like
if you know
expansions
what the
when they come out pretty
really
frequently.
valuable
Just
cluster
because,
jewels
you know,
are,
we
like
have all
what
the
makes a
stuff,
really
kind of,
valuable cluster jewel,
like,
you can buy
got
like
some of the way-
jewels
a
that
lot of the way
are
through,
worth
so-
like
this stuff-
hundreds
I
of
mean, look,
divines
I'm
from
pretty
them,
sure, like, I
and they
really
put them
wanted
up
to
for
pull it
like
out, we announced it, we've
10
talked about it,
divines.
it's
So
a
they
lot
put them
of
up for
fun.
like the
We are
cost of
keen to get
like
it out there as soon as we can.
just a normal version.
The
Like
Huntress,
in
we've talked
Affliction, it
about as
was
well. There's,
the
like,
one
yeah,
everybody
those kind
wanted
of
was
things I
one
think
with
we'll be able to move
at
towards those
least
pretty quick.
5
But,
int
just,
per
yeah,
passive because
The other thing
Ranger
you
was really
mentioned
int starved on the
roadmap,
build
like,
that
things is,
Fubgun was pushing.
We've always been, you know, it's hard to
and,
predict
like,
because a
PvE
lot
players
of what
being
will happen is, and what we
the,
leave space for is
like,
reacting to what the players
dumb,
want. And so if you plan
like,
everything for so
build
long, you're going to
copiers
have very,
that they
very,
are.
very slow reaction times.
They
to
don't
fixing,
understand that, like,
you know, or adding certain
okay,
content
if it
where they
costs
might-
100
maybe the
divines
issue
to
is,
buy
the
a cluster
campaign
jewel
needs
with
more of this, or
5
this
int per
class
passive
needs
on
more
it,
of this or something. So if you're,
I will just
you're
put
planning,
int
then you're
on
gonna
my
be delivering on
helmet so I
what
don't
they
have to
want
buy that jewel.
solved,
You know, like they
like a
don't
year down the
think
line or even
outside the
longer.
box on like
And
other
we
ways
like
to do
remain
things.
Very, very
They just
dynamic and like, you know,
swipe
you want to be
their
able to fix that
card
stuff like, oh, well,
and
this is
buy
the, main
the
problem,
thing
like,
that's
sure,
in
obviously
the-
you need more than a week.
the
sometimes,
popular guys
most of the
POB.
time. But
So
we
I
want
was
it
buying
generally
like
to be that the
5
next
int
releases,
passives,
expansions,
cluster
updates,
bow
whatever can
cluster
alleviate
jewels
as many of those problems
for
as
like
possible.
5, 10
yeah,
divines,
you
whatever
try
like
not
the
to get
going
too
rate
strict
was
with the
for
planning has generally been
that
our
passive
philosophy,
combo.
because especially when it comes to actually
and
having
you'd
the
sell to
live
people for
product
like
out,
80, 100
because that is
divines depending
very,
on the
very
day.
important.
And
Otherwise,
like
you're,
these would
you're
get
never
pasted
gonna
like or
seem like you're
posted
doing
like
what people want,
once
and
every hour
what are you doing if not that?
or two.
You know?
So that
On the
actually is
people
a
I
good
was
point.
like
I was
on the
gonna ask,
botting
what do
accounts I was
you
watching.
folks, little teams
So
want out
I'd
of
be
the
making
beta?
like
'Cause obviously it's like a big
500
market
divines
game,
a
but
day
it's
just
also,
buying these things
you know,
from
key
the
to shaping the
bots
game in
and
the future.
flipping
So
them
in
to
actual
people
beta,
playing
it's not
Fubgun
just early
still.
access.
I think one of
And
the
it was
most
like,
important things is
at that
I think
point it
it's
was
gonna
like,
be really
why
good
am I
for the
even
development team to
mapping
get back into
when I
a
can just like
live
AFK,
mindset
play
and, like,
a
get it back
different
into the idea of,
game,
like, everything we make
and like
is shipping.
wait for
So,
these
like get back into this, you know, people are seeing, you know, like actually
like,
getting back to that,
sale
and, like,
opportunities
and,
to
like,
show
being able
up.
to sort of see directly, like, okay, we make
And yeah,
something that goes in the
it's
game, people
always
like it, don't like
something,
it, like
and
that
it's
kind of stuff. Like,
almost
that
always
really,
cluster
like,
jewels.
that has
It's
been our
whatever
studio
cluster
for,
jewel, and
like
like
most of
Fubgun's
its
like the
lifetime. Obviously,
biggest
you know, before we released
person
PoE1
to
it
like
wasn't, but after that point, I mean, we are
spy
a
on
company
because it it seems like FubGun has
we
like
are a company that
the
likes to
largest
think that we
army
can
of
do
like
live service better than anyone else. Like, that is
swipers,
our goal.
who
And
want to
so,
play his build,
like, getting back into that
and they'll
again,
just
for
swipe the
entire-
card to
everyone in the studio, so that everyone's
spend however many divines it costs to get them his exact build, and yeah, I'm sure you can always find some stupid brand, because it's like the easiest thing to craft bot, I assume, just based on like the number of craft bots I see. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like the occultist in the toxic sewer hideout with like just default layout. It's always the same fucking thing. thing.
So
like
I think that,
54 occultists
to get back to that again.
in the toxic sewer
honestly, as you said,
hideout,
it is
and
early
they're
access,
on
it is a beta
24/7.
period, and I'd
They
say,
never
personally
question
speaking, the thing that, and
why
we
you've
mentioned it
messaged
briefly
them
about the character
50
balance and the
times in a
builds
row
that are
for their
broken and all
jewel,
that.
but
That's obviously pretty
it's like
useful to
the
me.
universal basic income
Plus,
for
we have other
playing
systems
Trade
in there,
League.
like you know, the checkpointing system, right? You have
That
to
shit
kill
kind
the
of makes
boss
me
in one
like
life. You know,
want to
these are
quit
things we
after
haven't
a while,
mass tested,
though.
and
Like,
obviously other games have, and they work, and that's awesome. There are other things like, you know, the end game system is a little bit less forgiving in that if you die, you fail the map.
I
Right?
really
These things are things that we obviously
enjoy
need to test
Trade
and iterate
League.
on
Like,
in the
I
future
enjoy
by
trade
adjusting the
PvP
difficulty and stuff
as
like that.
much
And especially
or
as you get
more
towards this point
than
of
the base game.
you know, the end game, like,
But,
okay,
like,
Act 1 has been tested like
it
crazy.
usually happens
right?
that I
And
end
you
up
get less and less
playing
testing as it goes on because you
Trade,
get less
like
people
an
they've just been
economy
around for less
simulator
time.
more than I end up playing the game, and,
so,
then I'm
yeah, it's
just
gonna
like,
be a
I
huge
eventually have
amount
this
of iteration
realization where
and
I'm like,
feedback and from the
what
players
the fuck am
and
I
us
doing?
just,
Like I'm
you know,
like just
reevaluating all the
accumulating
stuff. And the thing
wealth
is,
for
we're
the
always
sake of it,
dynamic about that stuff.
and I'm
like,
not even like
we'll just
putting
change
it
things if
back
it's wrong,
into
we'll
playing the
redesign
game.
it, we'll come up
And
with a
like
new
then
way.
I go hide in SSF
Jonathan's
for
a
like a
firm believer
year.
of if A doesn't work
And that's how
B
things
doesn't
go.
work,
And
then
like,
we'll find C,
I
we'll
enjoyed
find
it at the
option C, we'll
time, but
find
there's
option
like
D, we'll
a
keep
critical
changing
mass
things
point
and
where I'm
we'll
just
make it
like,
work. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of that
what am I
iteration
doing? Why
on
am I doing
our
this?
design decisions